Hello, Freedom Nation. It's Jeff here once again with another episode of the Freedom Nation podcast. And on today's show, I've got a really interesting guest. His name is David, and he is an author. He also has a really interesting story of being fired later in life and having to kind of reinvent himself. So I think for those of you that have that concern, this will be actually a really good conversation to have. So stay tuned. We'll be right back on with you in just a second.
All in you. Everything you're looking for, it's all in you. You gotta believe that it's all in you. Everything you're searching for, it's all in.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. David, how are you, sir?
Great, Jeff. Glad to be on your show. Appreciate
How do
it.
we pronounce your last name?
Nassief.
Nassief. Okay,
Yes.
well that's easy.
Yeah.
I was making it harder than it needed to be.
That's true.
Well, David, tell us a little bit about yourself and your story, because just our initial conversation, it piqued my interest as well. So
Sure. I'd be glad to. Well, it all started when I was 63 and I
Okay.
just got fired after 18 years with the same company. I tell you, I would not wish that to anybody.
no,
I did the math, and if we drained all of our savings and all of our investments, we would be broke by 65. And I'm thinking, who is going to hire me at my age?
yeah,
So anyways, I'm driving home after that kind of traumatic experience, and I'm thinking, how am I going to tell Mary? We'd been married for 30 years, and
Mhm.
I felt like the biggest loser. She did not
Yeah.
deserve the mess I just threw our whole life into.
Yeah.
So anyways, after a couple months of dead-end job searching, I decided to take a huge risk, and I went to work as an independent sales agent. No
Okay.
salary, no commission, no
Mhm.
safety net.
Yeah.
So the first months were absolutely brutal.
Mhm.
Cold calls, constant rejection, rookie mistakes. I remember Jeff meeting a prospect, and he was interested. And he asked me to leave some sales materials, and I realized I forgot to bring the sales materials. What salesman does that? I felt like if I actually had a job, I would fire me. So, anyways, I was a newcomer in a local market.
Okay.
I constantly heard people saying, "Oh no, we've had our agent for years. We're not
Yeah.
interested." But finally, somehow, I was able to just get a couple clients, and then the competitors started circling like junkyard dogs, trying to
Mhm.
steal them from me. I actually felt like the Chihuahua in the fight. I was so out of my element. But, anyways, after 10 months of grinding, I hit an incredible milestone. I was suddenly making more money than my good paying corporate salary. And for
Nice.
a second, I thought we made it. But
Mm.
then reality surfaced. I said, Jesus, I haven't saved anything. Making
Yeah.
money isn't enough. I have to learn how to invest. But but my late start, I didn't have time to waste with a bunch of theories and investment, whatever. So I just dug in, started doing my own research, and I created a one-page wealth compass with a key point is a set it and forget it approach.
Okay.
Six years later, Jeff, at age 69, I achieved what I thought was impossible. From
Nice.
terrified to being broke to a seven-figure portfolio and real financial freedom. And
Fantastic.
I learned from that experience, it is never too late to rewrite your story. Because
Mhm.
if I can do that starting as late as 63, anybody can with the right direction. So
Yeah.
that's my
And you
story.
really didn't have much of a financial background, it sounds
Not at
like.
all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And I spent 40 years wasting my time going in circles, doing the wrong thing. I think everything that you can invest in wrong, I did it.
Yeah.
So
Well, let's unpack that a little bit. Tell us a little bit about what it was that you were able to kind of adjust yourself around and say, okay, I've got this short period of time and I've got to get there somehow. How
Yeah.
did you do it?
Well, I tell you, I think the best way to explain it is just to tell you what inspired the compass. Then I'll show you
Okay.
the first thing that saved me like $250,000 off the bat. Okay, here's what happened. Well, this is what inspired it. It's an actual story. It's a true story. Scientists at the Max Planck Institute did an experiment. They
Hmm.
took people and they put them in the center of a dense German forest, and they told them to walk in a straight line to the edge. Okay, now these were confident and capable people, but when the sun was covered by the clouds, the people started wandering and walking in circles. Some of them ended up right back where they began. And yet every one of them was absolutely insistent. No, they were walking in a straight line. That is exactly what I was doing for 40 years with money.
Sure.
Working hard, feeling like I was making good decisions, but ultimately going nowhere, ending up right back where I started. So that's
Mm.
kind of how the inspiration of it. Now, let me share with you what happened when I first made it. Okay. Before it was
Okay.
even finished, I had a tool in there that saved me, like I said, $250,000. And here's what happened. I was now 64 at the time,
Okay.
so desperate to catch up when a fiduciary advisor who I was referred to recommended something she said was amazing, a LIRP, a life
Hmm.
insurance retirement plan.
Yep.
Okay, tax-free income, long-term savings, and just everything, the whole package.
Hmm.
Anyways, when she mentioned some members of Congress invested in it, I was really
Yep.
impressed. And so then she said something. She says, David, if you invest in this with me, I'll waive my quarterly fee. Now, one of the tools in my unfinished at this point Wealth Compass was Follow the Money. And it
Mm.
told me to understand how people are getting paid that are advising you or recommending you financially.
Hmm.
So I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, if she can waive her fee if I invest in this, how much commission is she making off of this thing?
Yeah.
So I went home that day and I did some research and I found out that these products pay salespeople and advisors very generous commissions.
Hmm.
They have sky high fees and very poor returns. This is the exact opposite of what I told her I needed. I was so
Mm.
far behind, I didn't have time to waste, and I needed steady, stable growth. That tool exposed to me that she was about to make a fortune and I'd
Mm.
be back to walking in financial circles. So I did I said, forget this, I'm doing it a different way. And I started to do a different type of research. And here's what I found out that I got, first of all, in the right kind of investments. Secondly, I was able to avoid getting ripped off by people that were trying to, direct me different directions. And more importantly, what the compass did, it gave me the keys I needed to accelerate my path to get to that financial freedom point. And what it did is it protected my money so I could use it to build my wealth and not somebody else's wealth. And that's kind of like what inspired it, and actually day one, how it started to work for me.
Mm. Okay. Well, can you share anything about what type of investments you did to
Absolutely.
get yourself there?
Yeah. Let me tell you. First of all, I what happened was in the first 6 years, which is the 6 years period I'm talking about, I I doubled my portfolio 3 times. Okay,
Okay.
and I promise I wasn't day trading or chasing crypto or trying to time the market.
Mm.
I was actually doing the opposite of that. I was doing something so boring it would put people to sleep. Okay,
Mm.
what it was, I got a simple investment approach, and the crazy thing of it is, Jeff, is when the market was down, I was
Mm.
thrilled. When other people were panicking and selling, I was buying more shares at discount prices. My only
Sure.
regret was the market wasn't down more during that 6 year period. So, but here's what surprised me was the math. Okay, there's a thing I'm sure your listeners are familiar with called the rule of 72. And it
Hmm.
says that it tells you how soon your money will double at a certain rate. So say you're getting a
Certainly.
10% return, it takes about 7.2 years to double your money, or
Mm.
roughly every 86 months. My
Okay.
first double after the compass occurred in 30 months. My
Okay.
second double, only 13 months, and my third double, 29 months, for an average of 24 months, way less than half the expected 84-month time period. But the
Mm.
secret wasn't the returns, okay? It was I was doing 3 things a lot of people just, I guess, don't figure out. One, I was saving a good portion of my income every month.
Of
Two,
course.
I
Yeah.
was taking that money and putting it in the right kind of investments. Okay. And three, I was using market volatility to work for me instead of against me. So many
Hmm.
people are caught in the trap of buying high and selling low. And I was one of those people before the compass, I promise you. Okay. But I ended that cycle because so many people do the opposite. They either, if they're late like me, they either get panicked and they either get too risky and that ends bad, or they get
Hmm.
so conservative, they're not even keeping up with inflation. They're actually going behind each month. Okay, what I
Sure.
found was an approach that built my portfolio twice as fast with half the risk compared to how so many people are doing it today. I'm not
Mm.
saying everybody, but most of the people. So, anyways,
Yeah.
so
Okay. All right. Um, so how have you used that or continued to use that to, you're older now. I'm
yeah.
assuming you've gotten past, are you still working at this point or are you,
But here's the deal. I am working, but can I just share with you what is going on here? There's a thing I call in the book called FIGNA, Financial
okay.
Independence, Graduate to the Next Adventure. Okay.
Okay.
Where FIRE is more focused on stopping work. Okay.
Yeah.
What I'm focused on is having the freedom to choose the work you love. Okay. when I was fired at 63, they tried to put me out to pasture, but I decided to jump the fence instead. Okay, I turned a crisis into a graduation, and what it is right now I just love what I do. I just can't even think of wanting to retire. First of all, my agency, I've loved working at my agency, and my son's joined me now. I really enjoy sharing the compass with people, and I look forward to my volunteer work every month. Now, I'm not saying retirement's bad. It's not, of course.
Yeah.
It's just not for me. Okay. For some people, graduating to the next adventure might be retiring, and that's a good thing for them. Okay. But I think when you have the freedom, you can choose what you want to do as opposed to being forced to make choices you don't really want to make. So
Absolutely.
that's my view on retirement. It's not for everybody, but I just can't comprehend retiring.
Yeah. Now you share you said an agency. So do you own an insurance agency, or what type of work are you doing?
It's kind of an insurance agency. It's a little technical, but it's a B2B kind of wholesale agent to businesses. It's not the typical like insurance agency, and so that's kind of what it is. Yeah.
Okay, so you do B2B work. Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you at some point? I mean, yeah, it sounds like you're enjoying what you're doing, and all that. Is at some point is the goal? Okay, I don't want to work anymore, and I want to just do volunteer work and things like that, or do you think you'll continue to work, on into retirement farther?
Well, here's the interesting thing. I reinvented myself at 63. Okay.
Sure.
Now at 72, which is what I am now. Okay. I became an author. Okay. Yep. And I just can't wait to see what I'm going to do at 82. I don't know what that's going to be yet, but I just look forward to it. I don't see an end to this. Maybe something, maybe I'll be forced to end, I don't know, health or whatever, but I feel good about my health. But right now, I that's not on my horizon at all. But maybe someday. I don't know.
And honestly, the reason I asked the point of it is one of those things that, I believe that you should. I think a lot of people, there's this belief that, okay, I've got to, work for years, save all this money up, and then I'm going to be able to retire at that point. And, then I'm just going to sit on the front porch and whittle wood. I think the reality for a lot of people is, one, we're living a lot longer than most people thought they ever would. I talk to people and, well, how long do you think you're going to live for? Well, my dad died at 52. Okay. Well, you're 65. So,
right.
Okay. That's, kind of taken out of the picture at that point. I think our generations, yours and mine have, we've taken better care of ourselves. I think we are more aware of health. I think we've had better health care. So the odds are we're going to last a lot longer, and we need to plan for that. So I don't think it is a wrong thing to say that part of my retirement is that I might work part-time. I look at it from my perspective. I don't dig ditches for a living. I mean, I do this.
Exactly.
I, own a wealth management company. Okay. I don't, once again, don't dig ditches for a living, and people can enjoy 30 years of me doing this with the experience of how to navigate what's going on in the markets. So why wouldn't I continue to do this for a long time? Now, do I want to do it as hard as I work today? Probably not. But that's okay. I can bring on people to help me do that type of stuff. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing to say, well, part of my retirement plan is I'm going to continue to work. So I'm not responsible for having to have a 7-figure portfolio. I can have a smaller portfolio and then be able to go and do the fun things I want to do when I want to.
Yeah, I agree. We live on a beautiful golf course, and I look at those golfers and I say, I'm assuming this is fun for you, and I'm sure it is. They wouldn't be doing it. But for me, visiting with a client, being on a podcast, that is play for me. That's not work for me. I don't look at that. And I can tell just by talking to you, you don't look at it as work either. This is play for you.
Well, I don't know where you live, but I live in Texas. So the entire summer is miserable to be outside on a golf course, and I've got a good friend that lives out in Arizona, and I'm thinking to myself, I have no interest to be. It's 1,000 degrees outside. I don't want to go walk around a dang golf course and sweat and get roasted all day. That has no interest to me at all.
I'm in Phoenix, so I know.
Okay, you can relate. Yeah, Ron. Yeah, he doesn't even enjoy it himself. He works during the day and then he goes and plays pickleball at night. so
Okay.
where you can do that in a cooler type of environment. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I just don't foresee that. And I think that's a worthwhile option for people to say, hey, I want to continue to work and do stuff that I love, but I just get to control when I do it, which is even better.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. That's
Awesome. So the book, how's it doing so far?
excellent. It actually hit Amazon's hot new #1 book or whatever it
Excellent.
was in the category. So I'm thrilled about
Yep.
that.
New
I've got,
release. Yep.
yeah, new release. And just in a
Yep.
couple of weeks, I've got a bunch of reviews already. I'm just, and
Beautiful.
nobody I know either. They're not friends
Yeah.
of mine. They're just really, so
You can't do that anyhow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
If
right.
you've ever shipped anything to anybody on Amazon, you can't get them to do a
No.
review. So.
No, so I'm thrilled with that. I just,
Great.
like I say, I didn't do this to be an author. I did this because I wanted to share something that I feel passionate about that I think can help a lot of people. So that's my point.
Yeah. Awesome. So what do you see as kind of the future for what it is that you do? What do you want to see happen with the one-page wealth guide?
Well, what I'd like to see happen is it just get into as many people's hands as possible. One of the things they can do is they can go online to Amazon and read the first 2 chapters for free. And
Okay.
I encourage you. I'm not here to try to sell anything to anybody, but I mean, if it resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, great too. But I think it's my story, and it's how I dug out of a deep hole that I actually never thought I'd dig out of. And I just says, it's like when you're in a storm and someone hands you a lifeline, you make it a safety. It's the ultimate in selfishness to not to share it with people. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to share with people about that.
Yep. Fantastic. So how does somebody get their hands on it?
Sure. Actually, if you just go to onepagewealthcompass.com, okay, and the very first thing you'll see is I give for free, there's no cost here at all, is the actual PDF of the one-page compass that I use that got me from broke to financial freedom in 6-year period. And they can go on there. And when they sign up for my newsletter, which is part of it, that's the first thing you'll get. And the reason I did the newsletter is, again, everything's free, is because I want to give some support to the compass. Like, here's a tip that, you may not realize just reading the one page that, here's a little more in depth, that kind of thing. And so it's a tool, but it's a tool with some support behind it. And again, no cost to anybody. You can't buy anything on the site. There's nothing for sale except a link to an Amazon book, if you want a book. Yeah.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about the fast 5 questions then.
Great.
All right. So first question, you wake up in the morning, business is gone. You have $500 in your pocket, a laptop, computer, place to live, food and clothing. What are you going to do first?
Well, the first thing I would do, Jeff, is I would play to my strengths. One thing I've learned over the years is what I'm good at, I guess, if you want to say it, whatever, is sales of intangible products that I really, really believe in with a passion, not just I'm just selling. Okay. And so I know that, and this took a while to figure out for me, but so the very first thing I would do is I'd say, okay, what's a product out there that I truly believe in and that I can sell with integrity and honesty? And that's what I would do. And I know if I did that, like I say, I would get back on my feet quite quickly.
Excellent. Fantastic question or answer. Second question, what's your biggest business mistake that you've ever made?
Well, this is embarrassing, but my first business, which was a couple decades back, I failed. Okay, it failed miserably, but I opened it and I kept it going longer than I should have. I should have pulled the plug a lot longer. I remember 1 year after I'd been in business, I kind of saw the writing on the wall, but I didn't want to admit it and face it. And my father-in-law, he was helping me one day and looking at the books, and he says, "David, you're bleeding money." And I didn't want to hear that. I actually almost resented him for saying that. I respected him immensely. I love him greatly, but I'm just saying, I just didn't want to face reality. 4 years, I stuck with that business. And then it plunged me into serious deep depth. I should have pulled the plug in the first year. I knew it in my heart. I just didn't want to face the truth. And this job, I knew in 10 months it was making money more than I'd made before. So it just, waiting too long when you're in the wrong thing, I think was.
Makes sense. Well, and it happens to a lot of people. It's, you don't want to admit failure, but failure sometimes is hanging on too long.
Yeah, exactly.
instead of realizing, okay, this isn't working. I need to find something better, or, let's cut the bleeding off as quickly as possible. So,
yep, I agree.
Excellent. What is a good book that you'd recommend for our audience?
This one is going to sound odd, but
Okay.
it's a book called The Goal by Eli
Okay.
Goldratt. It's an
Okay.
engineering book, and I know that sounds weird. What do you mean, an engineering book? But it's written in a story form, and the
Okay.
principles in it are all about that it be applied anywhere in life on how to get through bottlenecks, how to get through impossible problems. I
Mm.
have not read many books other than the Bible multiple times, but this is one I've read 5 times and
Mm.
over the years because it's that good. Okay, and again, don't let the engineering part turn you off. It's just this. It's just the principles in it are amazing, and I think that's what I'd recommend.
Awesome. Great one. What is a tool that you use in your business every day that you might recommend?
For me, it's virtual assistants. They're
Okay.
always working in the background for me, or I'm interacting with them. I like Upwork and Fiverr. Upwork more for long-term projects, Fiverr for short-term deals,
Mhm.
and I feel like I have a whole virtual team
Yeah.
working for me, and I like that. Whatever project I'm in, I go, oh, I can use it. I can have my assistant do that, and if I
Mhm.
don't have an assistant, I can find one that specializes in that area. So I think it's
That's
immensely time
exactly right.
saving. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of it too, is you can find that person that can do that one very specific task for you,
yeah,
instead of having to hire somebody that you have to kind of force into that. I don't want to do this, so you're going to do it, and they
yeah.
may not be good at it either.
And if they're not good, you can just break it off, right? There's no
You're done. Yeah.
no issues, no
Move
firing
on
them.
to the next one. Yeah, I mean that's the way I look at it too.
I've even had
Um,
contests. I've even had contests between them to see which one's better. So
yeah, I've done that multiple times. I did
yeah.
that with video editing.
Okay,
I had
good.
5 different people do video edits for me, and I saw their work ethic. I had some that were, oh my God, they put so much effort into it, and I'm like, okay, we are a high production facility here.
Yeah.
We don't spend a week working on one project. We work on multiple projects, so it doesn't have to be great. It just has to be good, and that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've done that before where I've been testing them out, and I might give the same 5 videos to 5 different people and see how they come up with it. And it's not too terribly expensive.
No.
It's much more expensive finding the wrong person
Yeah.
and then trying to get them to do what you need them to do.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Last question for you. What is your definition of freedom?
My definition of freedom is understanding correct principles and
Mm.
living by it. Because no
Okay.
matter what we're talking about, whether it's money, whether it's faith, whether it's health, whatever, if you're living by correct principles, you're going to have a much easier time in life and have much more freedom and success. If you're living by the wrong ones, like I did for 40 years financially,
Hmm.
things get tough. And so,
Yeah.
and keeping it simple too, that's why I put it on one page, because it's not just correct principles, but simplifying them so you can live them in a way that makes sense for you.
Mhm. Awesome. Well, David, thank you for being on the show. Once again, remind us of where they can get the One Page Wealth at,
Yep.
and then
It
how somebody could get a hold of you
Yeah,
if they're interested.
sure. It's the website's called onepagewealthcompass.com,
Okay.
onepagewealthcompass.com. And as soon as you get there, you'll see a thing where if you just join the newsletter, you can download the compass immediately,
Mm.
and then you get ongoing support in the newsletter. And that's where I'd go. And then there's a place if you want to contact me, right? There's a form you
Mm.
can contact me too. Okay.
Beautiful.
All right.
Fantastic. Well, David, thank you for being on the show today. We appreciate you being on and sharing your story with us.
Well, thanks, Jeff. I
Um,
appreciate it too.
Look forward to keeping up with you down the road here.
All right. Sounds great. Appreciate it.
Thanks. And well, folks, as always, make sure that you reach out to David if you're interested in learning a little bit more about the One Page Wealth Compass. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. We'll be here. We do 2 shows a week, so make sure that you are subscribed so that you see them. So thanks a lot, and we'll see you guys back here the very next time.